morning, welcome back to Walk America. Wow, that was an old habit. Walk Europe. We've survived the night, as you can see, in our lovely host's home. He told me he was going to be gone in the morning because he works early. Came out to a mug of coffee waiting here on the table for us. I don't really drink coffee, but the gesture, unbelievable. Jack's working on his breakfast. You ready? I'm ready. We're leaving. It's already almost 10:45 a.m., which is too late, but there was a lot of stuff that got wet last night. Here's what happened. Don't want to gross you out. Jack was playing with the dog named Luna. They were playing just super high energy for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. And so he would get extremely thirsty. And so he would run to the water bowls while they're playing and lap up as much as he could and then go back to playing. And he'd do that over and over and over again for the whole time they were playing. So he ingested unusually large quantity of water. Very unusually large. So I woke up at 5:45 a.m. thinking Jack was just hearing noises because he was awake and looking at me. I was like, it's all right, buddy. It's just, chickens or whatever. It's just noises. Go back to sleep. So I went back to sleep, and I woke up with him looking at me, looking real guilty, extremely guilty, where his ears go flat and his tail's wagging furiously, and he had peed inside the tent a lot. That was pretty gross. I think today is going to be the warmest day we've seen so far, getting up to 82. Luckily, thus far, we've been in kind of a tunnel of trees most of the entire 0.5 miles we've walked so far today. This is a new trick I'm working on with Jack. He's never been terribly good at catching things. I don't know if you just saw the drool dripping from his mouth. Sit. So we're working on that. I'm gonna toss it. Okay, well yesterday he got one. That one just hit him in the eyeball. He's a little dumb. I don't know what it is about an empty country road on a sunny day that is just so unbelievably perfect. I can't put my fingers on what it is about this type of scene. Now, how to get enough money to buy a farm. After 2.24 miles, we've made it to Weldorf. It looks very nice. Jack, what do you think of Weldorf? Are you happy we came? Look, it's horsies. To give you an idea of the scope of that town, we've clearly left it behind now, and it's 3.17 miles, so less than a mile of travel time distance in that town. Back in one of those lovely lanes. Perfect moment found. I call those perfect moments where you just feel this overwhelming sense of satisfaction and happiness with what you're experiencing right now. I think one of my favorite things about these walks is how much more frequently I experience those than perhaps I did when I was not walking. 12:31 p.m., 4.68 miles in. Our road has transitioned to a gravel pathway through the woods. Very scenic. 5.3 miles in, we've just made it to Nartum, which is where the first guy we reached out to lives. So this is where we would have had to have made it to last night. It would have been a hike. Lovely, lovely Nartum. I think this is kind of a regional thing. Even the bus stops around here have that design with the wood inlaid with brick. They're strangely shaped cars. They're so big. Fare thee well, Nartum. It's the fields for these boys. 1:23, Jack's been fed his lunch. We've gone 6.30 miles. 7.4 miles, 1:45 p.m. Welcome to Winkeldorf, which is where I aspire to live, just on the name alone. Can you see calling this place home, Jack? What do you think? He just ignores my rhetorical questions. I think he can tell when I'm just trying to be silly. Brief little respite. 2:16 p.m. Ready to get on the road. I appreciate this bus stop for having a little cushion. It's not often that my rear end doesn't sit on either the ground or concrete or a hard bench for several months at a time. Jack just sat on the hard ground there, huh? Doesn't really seem to mind. You ready? Yeah, you are. You're always ready to go on an adventure. I am so impressed by the small country hamlets around here. You know, the little tiny villages. Probably don't even count as a village. Just little communities. They got names. This one's Winkeldorf, as I mentioned. And they're just so nice. They always are. Another bench on the side of the path in the middle of nowhere. Love it. This dog loves eating grass, don't you? Roadway signs for things that aren't vehicles. These are bike signs, and there's a hiking sign. Here's a rest area for people not in a car. And just look at the quiet, sunny countryside you get to experience. With literal wind rustling the leaves. It's like poetry. Look how silky Jack's coat is now that I've started brushing him regularly. By regularly, I mean quasi-obsessively. We tend to make way for much larger beings, don't we, Jack? Those guys are monsters. This great little cemetery out in the fields, though. Got this amazing little bench, very cute. Dipsorn is 3 kilometers that way. I'm not sure what 1970 means. Maybe that's when they put up the sign. We are actually going to go that way after we take a little respite. Look at this building I'm about to show you. That is so perfect. That one has a charm to it. Jack has this very endearing quality of choosing me as his pillow, like my foot right there. Jack wasn't squinty-eyed, still not, but he was going slow. So it's ride time for my boy. Today has been hot and humid. That's my theory as to why he was a little bit slow, on the slow side. As promised, we have arrived in Dipshorn with its local resident. Dipshorn is apparently one of those places that's so idyllic you have to see it to believe it's real. I like that. Maybe this community was too small to have a church, so they only have the bell steeple. Those are bells in there, I can see them, and I heard them chiming earlier. That's the only reason you have a building that tall and that skinny. So I'm guessing it hails from an era when those were important for calling town meetings, or I don't know, something. When they actually would use the church bells for something. There's a map of all of Dipshorn. For fear that I'm saying it incorrectly, which I probably am, I'm going to stop saying the name of the town. There's like a little breakfast area in here, like a small kitchen and stuff. Later, I'm going to look at the video and then take a screenshot and then have Google translate it from the screenshot, and then we'll both know what it says if you do the same thing. I am blown away by how much I like the small German countryside villages. Blown away. It's so charming. Can't help but wondering if all of this is still actively used. Kind of looks like it is. That looks like fresh mud, maybe. Wonder how much all of it cost when it was brand new. Asphalt fixed with pavers, covering cobblestones. This road's got it all. Real who's who of the paving world. I think my theory is correct. This is like a building that looks like it's full of municipal stuff based on the little hidey holes I was able to peek through, like barricades and stuff like that, and it's got a bell on top, so it's got to serve like a municipal function for just the community. Helps them be aware when things are happening and it's time to alert everyone. It's hot out. We've had some cloud cover all day, which I think has been helping keeping the temperatures bearable, but now that it's almost 7, lost our cloud cover and you feel it, you feel it. That's so charming, I love it. Not in the conventional way, you know, it's not done. I think what I see the appeal there is like the project I would do. Though, as I've mentioned before, I hate it when they brick up the windows. I understand it might be necessary for some reason, but it seems sad. What I like about this building is how obvious it used to be covered in ivy. All over it. That was once recently an ivy wall. Completely dominated Also, this style of building, if it's a house or if it's not, is extremely common in these little villages just lately that I've been walking through. They all have that little white sign right over the door. Very similar display of windows, ornate brickery around the top, all the above. What'd you find? A stick? Scouting out some farmer's field as potential place to sleep, because I've always said I'm going to sleep on the edge of a farmer's field and just risk it. Here's me putting money where my mouth is. 20 euros. There's a sign up here. I'm going to read what it says. Interesting. That one says this is wolf territory. Keep your dog on a leash and keep a watch on your children. That one says that this is a wildlife reserve and dogs must be on a leash unless they are authorized for hunting purposes. So, I don't know if it means that way is the wildlife. Because I think sleeping on wildlife sanctuaries is like extra. Don't do that. Not gonna lie, this looks like a sludge pit where you put waste, either cow or possibly human, dry out so that it can become fertilizer. The only thing sort of disproving that theory is that there's no smell, none whatsoever. I think I just need to stop texting people on one night tent because I found this spot right around here, just around the corner, out in the middle of the fields, and it just seems like a charming place to go to sleep and like one I'd remember probably for maybe the rest of my life. And I want to stay out there, but I want to be forced to stay out there by lack of options. I texted some people that live literally in that village right there, the windmill. You can see it. One of them just texted me back that she said I can probably stay there. They're not home. They've got someone house sitting. The person house sitting hasn't responded yet, but she says go ahead and head there. I'm pretty sure she'll say yes, which sounds pretty promising. I do want time in the evenings to myself occasionally. That's the other thing about staying at someone's house. You always just, it's not so much an obligation, but it is part of it. You answer the questions, you be friendly, and it's usually worth it. There's a time where you just like want a moment to yourself and your dog just to look out at the fields, and I'm really craving one of those moments right now. Have been for a few days. I might just stay here and get in trouble potentially, but feel more adventurous. This would have been our view. It looks amazing. I think I might say that using the web platform called One Night Tent or Warm Showers, unless I'm in the middle of a big city, I think I'm going to start considering that cheating. If someone invites me into their home, or if I meet someone on the street and ask them if I can stay in their home, that'll count because it'll be such a cool story that it'll be worth it. For these platforms that are designed to help you facilitate it, it's too easy. It's too easy. So I'm either going to wild camp in the fields from now on, because I kid you not, like, I am so in love with fields. It's like being on laughing gas. There's a rising tide of just happiness that wells up inside me when I see a golden big field like this. So I want to stay here. I want to just take it in. And if someone wakes me up in the morning, I'll explain it to them. Say, walking across Europe and I just fell in love with your field. I love it so much. I'm gonna be like, all right, nobody will use that as an excuse. It's gotta be the truth. And I can see the passion all over this man's face. I'm gonna say he's okay. That's what I imagine would probably happen. Maybe I'll get deported, who knows? I feel like the likelihood of that is so infinitesimally small. It's not really worth worrying about. But they just texted me and said their friend is cool with it, so we'll go there, we'll make a new friend. I'm so sad about it. I have such a bad attitude right now. I'll stay in the field another day. I love Germany. I have just loved my time here. I sort of feel like I'm at an adventure, or not an adventure, but like a theme park, like Busch Gardens, and they've got like a German themed section of the park, except it's all so actual Germany. I'm dying over here. It's just too much amazing to take in. I'm just dying over here. I can't describe it adequately how awesome it is. It's this feeling that made me know I had to go on my original walk. the feeling that I knew that there was places, things, experiences out there that would fill my heart, that would fill my soul and prove that life could be so awe-inspiring. And then I remember distinctly pushing away from my desk, looking at the four white walls of my small office that I worked in, and thinking, I can't spend all the time here when I know out there are places. This looks like a monument to soldiers lost in World War I. And these ones say 1939 to 1945, I'm guessing with locals lost in the Second World War. I know the 1940s was a long time ago, but it's still crazy to think that this area that I find so beautiful and charming all used to be the most inaccessible, behind enemy lines country in the world. This is kind of cool. The combination of the old wood versus the new wood right here. It's now 8:42 p.m. 17.65 miles in. Last little bit has just been extremely pleasant walking. Temperature's perfect. Got nice pathways. Jack's energy levels are back up, and the scenery has been stunning. Couldn't ask for much more. It's just a perfect way to spend a little bit of time. I think this might be our spot right here. There's a cat, so that's what Jack is gruffing at. This is our digs for the night. This is the yard. This is the house. So, very nice house. I think it's owned by a pair of sort of progressive people who, despite being pretty well off, are comfortable inviting strangers into their house. They are actually not even home. So they reached out to the person who's house sitting for them, who's a young university student. Young, she's the same age as me, she's 30, named Joanna, and we've just been chatting. But now I'm gonna set up the tent, then I'm gonna go to sleep, then I'm gonna wake up, and then I'm gonna walk to Spain with a few more sleeps in between. Good night.